People think betrayal comes with shouting and slamming doors. Mine came wrapped in silence under Christmas lights. And that's when I knew. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to calculate. The house was too quiet when I walked in. That dangerous kind of quiet where even the walls feel guilty. My boots clicked against the floor, echoing through a place that should have felt like home but suddenly didn't. Then I saw it. A torn piece of paper sitting on the kitchen table beside cold leftovers and a half-empty bottle of cheap red wine. No envelope. No explanation. Just a message written in the rushed handwriting I knew too well. We used your $8,500 for the family cruise. Take care of Grandma. My breath left my body in one sharp exhale, like someone punched me straight in the ribs. $8,500. Everything I'd saved, worked for, planned around, gone. But not even with permission. Just taken. The Christmas tree blinked softly in the corner, its lights flickering like a dying heartbeat. Beneath it were the signs of a celebration I wasn't invited to. Lipstick on the rim of a glass, a glittery shawl thrown over a chair, wrapping paper peeled open and abandoned on the floor. They didn't just leave tonight. They'd been gone for days. Grandma sat at the table, eating slowly. The kind of slow that isn't about hunger but about holding in emotions too heavy to swallow. She didn't look at me at first. Maybe she was ashamed, maybe she was scared I would be angry, maybe both. When her eyes finally lifted, they weren't surprised. They were apologizing without words. They left the morning after you did, she whispered. Didn't say anything. Just packed and went. The quiet in the room felt like a living thing. Thick, suffocating, full of unspoken truths. My shock settled fast, sinking somewhere deep and cold inside my chest. Betrayal didn't feel fiery like I always imagined. Felt calculating. Precise. Like a clock ticking down to something inevitable. I picked up the note again, read it one more time, let the weight of it sink fully into my bones. A slow, steady calm washed over me. They have no idea what's already coming, I murmured, and for the first time that night, I meant every word. Dawn, the anger wasn't burning anymore. It was cold, focused, and I realized something. If they'd used my money for their cruise, I wanted to know how deep the hole went. Comment below if you've ever had to become a detective in your own family. Sleep never came that night. I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment I'd said yes when I should have said no. Every time I'd offered help. Every time I'd believed their excuses, their soft smiles, their "we'll pay you back." The betrayal grew sharper with each memory, carving out space inside me where trust used to live. 2 a.m. When the house felt suspended between days, I sat up with a decision so clear it almost stopped my breath. I pulled my laptop onto my knees. The glow from the screen cut through the darkness, harsh and revealing, like truth always is. When I opened the browser, something familiar blinked back at me. Grandma's bank login. Still safe. Still unprotected. Still accessible. "Grandma," I whispered under my breath. "What did they do to you?" I clicked. What I found didn't just hurt. It rearranged something inside me years. Years of small withdrawals that added up to something monstrous. Transfers to names I recognized too well. My mother, my uncle, my cousin who always needed help with rent. Payments scheduled like clockwork. Always just under the threshold that would raise suspicion. A pattern so polished it had to be practiced. My stomach tightened. This wasn't carelessness. This wasn't one mistake. This was theft. Habitual. Intentional. Rehearsed. A soft shuffle behind me broke the silence. Grandma stood in the doorway, wrapped in her old robe, eyes tired in a way no sleep could fix. She didn't ask what I was doing. She just walked forward and placed a worn envelope beside my laptop. Inside were receipts. Hundreds of them. Withdrawals she never made. Signatures she never wrote. Dates that lined up perfectly with the transfers I'd just seen. "They used my pension," she said quietly. "For years." The hot rage I expected never came. Instead, something far more dangerous settled in. Cold anger. Precise. Measured. Sharp. "Patterns," I murmured, stacking the receipts. "Evidence, motive." Grandma touched my arm gently. Don't do anything foolish, Tegan. I met her eyes, steady and unblinking. I won't, I said. But we both knew that depended entirely on what I uncovered next. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to document everything. Because guilt wasn't mine to carry anymore. If you've ever been the family's ATM, drop a money with wings below BY morning, the kitchen had transformed into something else entirely. A battlefield. Bank statements spread across the table like maps. Receipts stacked in towers. Grandma's old ledger opened to pages stained by time and quiet suffering. The Christmas lights blinked behind us, soft and mocking, illuminating the truth we were excavating. For every withdrawal on her account, I found a corresponding transaction elsewhere. A Venmo transfer labeled utilities. A nice, responsible word. Matched perfectly with a Sephora order placed 5 minutes later by my cousin Maya. Another loan payment, time-stamped at midnight, lined up with an Uber receipt to a bar 2 cities away. None of it accidental. None of it misunderstood. This goes back to 2016, I said, tapping the ledger with the back of my pen. Grandma nodded without looking up. That's the year your mother offered to help me with online banking. Said it was too confusing for me. Her voice cracked, not from sadness but from humiliation. Page by page, year by year, the pattern sharpened. Small thefts disguised as love. Favors dressed as responsibility. Care twisted into control. When I opened the family group chat for clues, I didn't have to look far. A message from last month sat there, untouched, incriminating. Transfer the loan soon. We need to book before prices go up. My stomach turned. They hadn't even used code words. They didn't need to. They never expected anyone to question them. I took a steadying breath and dialed the number I'd found in a late-night search. Attorney Natalie Shaw, specializing in elder financial abuse. The kind of attorney people call when the betrayal isn't just emotional, it's criminal. She picked up on the second ring. This isn't a misunderstanding, Tegan, she said after I explained everything. This is a felony. And from what you've told me, it's been ongoing for a decade. Grandma closed her eyes at the word felony. I didn't dot on my laptop. I created a new folder and labeled it proof. Not evidence. Not documents. Proof. Proof of what they took. Proof of what they lied about. Proof of everything they thought we were too soft to notice. Before closing my laptop, curiosity tugged at me. I opened social media, almost expecting it. And there it was, Maya's latest post. Finally, some peace away from all the negativity. Family-only red heart sparkles. I stared at the picture of them smiling on the cruise ship deck. Sunset behind them, drinks in hand, no shame at all, fine. They wanted peace. They were about to learn what justice feels like. I smiled into the dark. Tomorrow we start. That was my peace. Knowing I could detonate everything any time I wanted. Have you ever had to prepare for war with people you once called family? The house felt different now. Not safer, not warmer. Just clearer, like fog lifting after years of pretending things were normal. The chaos of receipts and statements was gone. Everything had been photographed, scanned, labeled, and reorganized. Evidence no longer scattered across the kitchen table but secured, backed up, and double protected. I slid the external hard drive into the inside pocket of Grandma's winter coat, the one she never leaves home without. Just in case, I whispered. Grandma nodded. She understood without needing the details. Natalie's voice echoed in my mind. Control the narrative before they do. And I intended to. I started taking down the Christmas decorations. Slowly, methodically. Not because I wanted to erase the holiday, but because I needed to reclaim the space. The ornaments went back into boxes. The stockings came off the wall. The dried-out pine needles were swept away. I wasn't cleaning for them. I was cleansing the house of the fingerprints they'd left on our trust-tea the dining table. I opened my laptop and began drafting the email. Formal complaint to the Elder Protection Unit. A summary for the state investigators. A neatly packaged file ready for the local news should they try to twist the story first. Every line sharp, precise, true. When I finished, I didn't hit send. I saved it as a draft with the subject line. Not yet sent but ready. Grandma placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "Guilt's a luxury, sweetheart," she said softly. "They spent theirs a long time ago." I didn't argue. She was right. That night, the house settled into a tense quiet. Not fearful, prepared. I set the stage the way it should have been on Christmas Day. Clean table, warm lights, breakfast ready, coffee brewing. Not for celebration. For clarity. For truth. For the moment they walked back into the home they thought they still controlled. Top of form. I looked at her. At the perfect hair, the false composure. The eyes that had always seen weakness where there was loyalty. "I'm not the victim," I said. "I'm the receipt. If this story is hitting home, stay with me. The ending gets better." They pulled into the driveway just after noon, the car doors slamming like punctuation marks in an argument they were already losing. Mom stepped out first, rolling her eyes. "Why is the driveway such a mess? Didn't anyone shovel while we were gone?" Maya followed, fanning herself dramatically. "Ugh, it's so hot. Can someone turn on the AC? I swear this house gets uglier every year." Dad didn't even look toward the window. No one asked where Grandma was. No one wondered how Christmas had been for us. They just barreled through the front door, luggage bumping into the walls, complaints spilling out like rehearsed lines. I was waiting at the kitchen table, laptop open, chair pulled out like a courtroom invitation. "Welcome home," I said. They froze. Not because they sensed danger, because they sensed inconvenience. Mom forced a smile. "Tegan, sweetheart, we didn't expect you back so." I clicked a key. A spreadsheet filled the screen, columns of transactions highlighted in red. "Have a seat," I said. "We're going through this together." Dad scoffed. "What's all this? You playing accountant now?" I didn't answer. I opened the next file. Screenshots from the cloud backup, organized neatly. Then the next. A series of audio notes Ava had sent Grandma months ago. Warnings, concerns, the things Grandma had been too scared to show me before. "Where did you get these?" Mom demanded, voice lifting an octave. "From you," I said. "You left a trail." Maya's face tightened. "This is insane. You're twisting everything. We helped Grandma. We took care of her." I clicked again. Another spreadsheet, this time matching their Venmo utilities requests with Sephora orders, bar tabs, hotel stays. The pattern was undeniable. Mathematically undeniable. Rachel, my mother, went pale first. "You'd ruin your own family over a misunderstanding." I finally looked up at her. "You ruined this family when you traded love for leverage." Dad slapped his palm on the counter. "You little snake. You think you're so smart. You think you can threaten us." I stood slowly. "I'm not threatening anyone." I leaned forward. "I'm not the victim. I'm the receipt." Silence detonated between us. Beep. Then, Grandma stood, her voice, usually soft and tired, cut through the room like a blade. "Enough," she slammed her hand on the table so hard Mom flinched. "Get out," Grandma said. "All of you. Out of my house." Mom sputtered. "Mother, you don't mean that." "I mean every word." Her voice shook with fury, not weakness. "You can come back when you've made things right. Not before." She pointed to the envelope beside my laptop. "These are your copies," I said. "Bank statements, the attorney's notes, and a letter from me outlining next steps. Attorney Shaw already has hers." Maya snatched the envelope as if it might burn her. Dad muttered curses under his breath. Mom cried. Not real tears, but those glossy ones she used to get out of parking tickets. None of them apologized. Not once. They grabbed their coats, their luggage, their excuses, and then they left. The door closed behind them with a finality that didn't need words. Grandma sat down beside me, not crying, not shaking, just breathing. It wasn't peace yet. But it was the beginning of it. When the settlement came through, I didn't celebrate. I just made sure Grandma was taken care of. Because that's what family actually means. Drop a red heart if you know someone who deserves this kind of protection. The days after the confrontation were strangely calm, like the world had taken a breath and refused to let it out. My phone buzzed non-stop for 4 days straight, Every message some variation of the same desperate script. We didn't mean it like that. You misunderstood. We'll pay you back, just delete the complaint. Please don't ruin us. I forwarded everything to Natalie. Every voicemail. Every wall of excuses. Every guilt-soaked paragraph pretending they hadn't spent a decade stealing from the frail woman who raised me. On the 5th day, the legal notice arrived. Full restitution plus penalties. Every dollar they'd taken, including mine, had to be repaid. It happened faster than anyone expected. Rachel tried to do damage control online, painting herself as a devoted daughter betrayed by a vengeful granddaughter with issues. But screenshots spread faster than her lies. Old messages, saved receipts, comments from people who'd seen the patterns for years. Once the truth was out, it couldn't go back into hiding. Maya lost her assistant manager position after the screenshots revealed she'd used company time and funds to fuel some of her errands. Liam's paycheck got garnished. Ava moved out of her shared apartment after the story reached her landlord, who didn't appreciate being lied to about where her rent money went. Justice didn't feel like fireworks. It didn't feel loud or victorious. It felt like the air after a storm. Clean, steady, breathable. When the restitution hit my account, I didn't buy anything dramatic. I paid the $3,000 for the dental surgery I'd been putting off for years. I bought Grandma a $2,000 lift chair and arranged for a part-time nurse to come twice a week. Watching her sit comfortably for the first time in months felt better than any revenge ever could. Then I signed the lease on a small downtown apartment. Not fancy. Not decorated. But quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't ache. A place where I could build days that belonged to me. Grandma and I kept our routines. Morning tea. Dinner at the old oak table. No yelling. No guilt. No pretending. Just two people choosing peace after too many years of surviving each other's storms. At the grocery store, a woman paused beside me near the checkout line. She hesitated before speaking, then said softly, "You're the one who stood up for your grandmother, right?" I nodded, unsure what was coming. She looked down at her cart. My mom went through the same thing. Her own kids drained her account. We didn't notice until it was too late. There wasn't anger in her voice. Just exhaustion. Recognition. Relief that someone else understood. When she walked away, I realized something that settled deep inside me. This story was never just ours. Back home, Grandma was watching the snow fall outside our window, flakes drifting like slow forgiveness. She turned to me with a small, knowing smile. "Peace looks good on you." Maybe she was right. The quiet didn't ache anymore. It wasn't the silence of betrayal, it was the space we earned, the one we built ourselves. I turned toward an invisible camera, toward anyone who might need to hear it. If you've ever had to protect someone you love from your own family, you're not alone. Back home, Grandma was watching the snow outside our window. "Peace looks good on you," she said. And maybe she was right. The quiet wasn't empty anymore. It was earned. If this story speaks to you, share it. Someone needs to hear it. Top of form. Bottom of form. Top of form. Bottom of form. Bottom of form. Top of form. Bottom of form.